draft. Let's talk about this draft upcoming this season because not only is it pivotal for the Seattle Seahawks, it's one of those types of drafts. This is a real turning point for this team. Yes, last season they got Charles Cross. Yes, last season they got Abe Lucas, Boye Mafe, and then, superstar caliber players there, let alone Tariq Woolen at pick 153. And then you also get Ken Walker, too, the third, who is, in my opinion, a better running back than Breece Hall. I haven't seen enough of Breece Hall, but I just get a feeling that Ken is going to be more consistent and doesn't have that big injury. So Kobe Bryant came in the fold as well. All of those players were not only starting caliber players, they were big impact players. And the NFL is not talking enough about the Seahawks draft class. The East Coast bias, as you saw last night, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, amazing football players. But I'm hard pressed to believe that overall the Jets had a better draft than the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks drafted 7 to 8 players that could be all-pro players, and that is something that rarely ever happens in the NFL, specifically the modern NFL. What's up, Greg? How you doing? In the next few days, I'm going to be dropping videos about the draft. Shout outs to everyone that does that. People are doing a lot of cool videos out there. Murph, Brandon, both Brandons, Rob Stanton. My style is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to play to the narrative in my drafts in a couple different ways. I'm going to do one really defensive-minded, one really offensive-minded in a big mix. But tonight I want to talk to you guys about players that I like and players that you may like that are being not only overlooked or whether they're star players or not. I feel like I've done enough research now to bring some valuable content that explains why I do and I don't like these players. Because as you guys frequent all these Seahawks channels as well, just like I do, you see so many different ideas and so many different types of directions that they feel John Snyder and Pete should go in this draft. And, to preface that, so much of it hangs on what they do with Geno Smith, whether or not they keep Geno Smith. And a lot of people don't understand this part too. It has so much to do with what they feel about Drew Lock as well, how high they draft the quarterback, because I think they're going to take a quarterback, whether that's at the top, the middle, or the bottom this season. It's not like they're just going to, do nothing. Look at the Niners this season. You can have all of these quarterbacks and then be down to Josh Johnson with a concussion, be down to, a headset Christian McCaffrey or Juice. You do not want that. So we need more than what we have now, believe it or not, because injuries do happen in this NFL. Let's get into the discussion together. Thank you for joining me. Grug, have you had a chance to check out Kalijah Kancey? He's propelled himself into the first round, it seems. Yes, I've done a lot of research on Kalijah Kancey. I'm very, very high on him. I would actually be okay with taking Kalijah Kancey and not forcing my hand at Jalen Carter there, because I think, what's up, man? How you doing, Cameron? I think Kalijah Kancey is the type of player that can have an immediate impact all downs, because as a lot of people have pointed out here, Rob in particular has said, the motor of Jalen Carter scares me as an every down player. Kalijah Kancey is not going to be Aaron Donald. He's not that strong, but he is going to be aggressive and has a high motor. Down in and down out. Yeah, he's only 6 foot, 6'1", but he's not Puna Ford, guys. This guy can get lateral. This guy can get vertical. This guy can get after the quarterback. So Kalijah Kancey out of Pittsburgh is absolutely on my draft board, and I wouldn't be mad at that guy in the second round. Pick 20 is too high for me, but if we trade down out of 5 or trade down out of 20, Kalijah Kancey's on my board as well, along with lots of other defensive tackles that I really like in this draft. The Senior Bowl has said a lot about what we can think about these players, but then the combine and actual game tape against competition says a whole nother thing. So yes, thanks for pointing out Kancey. Really good player, and I think he's one of those guys that could be a steal at any draft position. Absolutely. Also like Keanu Benton out of Wisconsin, he's really good too. There's a lot of defensive tackles here, which is why I'm gonna say I don't know about going Jalen Carter at the fifth pick, even if he falls, because defensive tackle is so important. So we do have to look at Deron Payne. We do have to look at DeForest Buckner. We do have to really think about this pick because, yes, we need interior help. I'm not saying we don't, but it's so critical that you don't let somebody go at 5, or even if you trade out of 5 down a few spots, that ends up being that player that you're like, man, why didn't I just take that player? Seattle has to do what they did last year and take the best possible football players they can, even if they feel they've already got a good player in front of them. Book that. What's going down here? Who else is in here right now? I see a lot of mock drafts getting Bryce Young. He's grown on me, man. Bryce Young is super small. This, that, and the other thing. But I also am starting to get a feeling. The first couple weeks of it, early on preseason, I was like, nah, man, I was buying into that narrative for sure. But I think Bryce Young is going to be a special player, and he's more elusive, and he's a smarter player than what am I talking about, man? That Arizona has. Why can't I think about like he's the most famous quarterback out there? He's not going to be as injury prone as people think. Think about QB, man. Like, yes, you got to be big and burly, but Bryce Young is not going to be trying to do the same type of stuff Murray is trying to do. And if you build the proper O-line around that guy and he falls to 5, you have to think about it, right? Totally. If the Texans fall in love with CJ Stroud or a Levis or and Bryce Young's there at 5, and you're telling me I got a chance to have Bryce Young or Jalen Carter. I don't know, man. Film don't lie. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be mad at that either. I wouldn't expect him to have an immediate impact. But I look at, the draft capital Seattle has right now. It's free rolling. Like, it'd be good enough for me. Imagine this. Imagine we didn't trade with Denver and we were starting at pick 20. You know what I mean? That's still a nice position for a team that's already kind of got what we have. So that 5th pick, you can either turn it into a lot or you can get a guy like that. I prefer CJ Stroud because I like CJ Stroud's ability to make throws that are more like, traditional throws in that sense. I think a guy like Metcalf and Stroud would be really crazy, let alone Tyler Lockett and a 3rd wide receiver. But Young is very creative, and if you were able to get the O-line and the protection around him, you can't just blitz him all the time because, guys, we have Kenneth Walker, we have check down tight ends, we're going to have Rashard Penny, but I do think that Bryce Young will be gone there as well. But that is a good point. I don't know why I couldn't get Kyler Murray out of me. Sorry. Greg says it seems like Desai is going to leave to Denver any day now. Should we go with back to the 4-3 defense at some point? I think we go back to whatever is working for the personnel we have. As you saw, we tried to force the hand at 3-4 there too much. Whatever we are able to come up with, stop trying to draft players just simply into a scheme. Get the best gosh darn football players you can and scheme around that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired of this narrative because it's like 3-4, 4-3 zone, man. Just get the best goddamn football players you can and go ball out. And I know that you have to have some structure as an NFL team, but the league is changing. You know what I mean? Everyone says, "Oh, you can't. You have to do this and that and the other." Tell that to Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, who almost go to a Super Bowl and almost go to another one just with having chemistry alone and no corners. You know what I mean? Like, their secondary sucks in Cincinnati. You know what I mean? But they're in the Super Bowl because they know what they have around them and they utilize that. I saw Seattle in pockets of this season. My favorite team. I absolutely bleed Seattle, man. Go and try to be something they weren't in certain games or in certain parts of games. It's like you have an advantage. If you have an advantage of tight ends, overwhelm the team with what your advantage is. You know, just overwhelm them. And I would like Seattle to start getting that way at position, and the future is looking bright. Let's keep the conversation going, guys. This is a draft-based thing, but we can talk about players we like. Okay, let's put that on the table. If at 5, you have to take a quarterback, and any of those are available, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, what are you guys doing and why? I am interested in all 5 people in here right now. I want to know your thoughts because I value your opinions. I know I see you guys. You're my friends in the comments. What do you think? For me, if it falls down there, Stroud, but I feel like whoever the Bears trade out with is going to take, you know, Stroud or Young. That's what I feel is going to happen. And I feel like the Colts likely take Levis. I could be wrong there. If Anthony, I'm going to tell you guys straight up, and this is about Anthony Richardson, Grug. I'm going to be straight up about Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, and I may come back to this a year and, you know, look like I'm the guy that was pumping Malik Willis, which I wasn't. Anthony Richardson is a special player. He's the type of guy, I look at him like the Tariq Woolen of this class. He has all the intangibles. He just hasn't played the position that much. But what you see from Richardson is pre-snap, he knows what he's seeing. He knows what's going on. Anthony Richardson has been against marquee opponents. You know what I mean? Alabama. Those guys have great safeties, great corners. Florida State, you know, Clemson. This guy hasn't played much quarterback. You know what I mean? So it's a small sample size. But he can make elite throws, and he can make great throws on the run. He just steps up into the pocket and jumps out of position too much. That can be coached. Look, Geno Smith, it took him till he was 32. He was never the athlete Anthony Richardson was. He's a brilliant guy, a smart guy, Geno Smith, and a hardworking, dedicated guy. But Anthony Richardson with the ball in his hands, he is not Cam Newton. Anthony Richardson with the ball in his hands runs like DK Metcalf. If he can hone that in and just learn what he is good at the second level, I am taking Anthony Richardson at 20. There is no way, in my opinion, he drops to 20. But if he was there at 17, 18, I'm thinking about trading up and getting Anthony Richardson. If I've secured my guy at 5 or whatever the trade down from 5 is, that could be Will Anderson. That could be Jalen Carter. AR runs better in open space than DK Metcalf. Guys, if you haven't seen full game tape of Anthony Richardson, he is one of the best runners, and he's going to be one of the best. Look at it this way. The NFL is changing. If you have Geno Smith, that's fine. You have Drew Lock. If you have Anthony Richardson too, you can bring him into the game and just fuck with teams, pardon my French. You can do things, but we can't risk missing a QB for the future at 5. I agree. And my offensive heavy draft mock is going to explain that. And there's so much of this, guys. Let me calm down. I get so excited about football. Oh, we got 7 people in here, man. Let's go. Anyways, you do not want to be the team that was able to get a Josh Allen type, a Lamar Jackson type, a Joe Burrow type. You were able to get that at 5, and you chose... I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to, chew the crow. But Will Anderson, what if he just gets a couple more sacks than a Darrell Taylor? I love Will Anderson. I'm okay with that pick. Jalen Carter, I love that guy. I'm okay with that pick. He's going to be really good. Is he going to be as good as Daron Payne? I don't know. I have my doubts, man. You know what I'm saying? So if I take one of those players, okay, hear me out. If I take one of those players and I watch a game where the Colts are going absolutely ape shit with Will Levis or CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson, and I could have had that even if Geno was there for 2 years, 3 years, I'm not going to be happy. I'm going to be like, man, so this is a make or break decision because I wasn't as crazy about the last year's QB class. I thought it was going to be better than it was, like everybody else. But you can't tell me Malik Willis against Appalachian South North Carolina State with a 250-yard game was a sure shot. You know what I mean? You cannot tell me, outside of the hype around quarterbacks and classes. I see some things in these quarterbacks, and I'm gonna break it down right now. Will Levis. What I love about Will Levis, he gets compared to Josh Allen. He's not that. You know what I mean? He's not exactly that type of player. I think he wants to concede to be more of a pocket type passer. He makes some really scary reads sometimes. But this is a guy that was able to beat some big teams, specifically last year, with very little receiving or offensive line talent. He had Rodriguez this year, but that's not a power guy. That guy has big upside, man. I don't care what you say, but that guy has the drive and the tenacity to be great. Bryce Young, he's too small. He's too this, that. That guy is nasty. If the Texans get Bryce Young, for instance, you're going to automatically see them become a better team right away. Because how do you think these guys win championship games? I don't give a shit if he's on Alabama and that's a powerhouse team. This guy is smart as hell with the football. This guy's a smarter player than Kyler Murray. You know what I mean? These guys are game-shifting guys. CJ Stroud, oh yeah, he's on Ohio State. When have Ohio State quarterbacks worked out? Well, Justin Fields seems to be starting to work out. And CJ Stroud is a hell of a better passer than Justin Fields. He's not the runner that he is, but can you imagine behind an O-line with a prime DK Metcalf, a guy like CJ Stroud standing in there and just gunning? That guy is not Dak Prescott. That guy will put up 45 on Georgia, Georgia, I think, is a better team than some NFL teams. You know what I'm saying? Dang. Anthony Richardson, another good player. Connor McKee. There's a lot of good guys here in this draft, and we should not sleep on grabbing one, even if it's somebody like Cam Ward later on or something. There's sleepers too. But we're going to get into that in the offseason here, and it's going to be a lot of fun breaking it down together. But I'm hard-pressed to believe that I want to not take a quarterback in this draft and, leave it up to the pros to decide how good these guys actually are, because last year's class said a lot about why it's so important to actually believe in your pick. You know what I mean? Whereas you see Brock Purdy up there on the stand, the last pick taken, he ended up being probably the best rookie QB. So, no, you don't have to go that early, but these guys are not normal to me. I don't see what I saw in the last draft or even in Lawrence's draft. I see 4 or 5 really, really good QBs here. And I think we should take one of them, guys. I really do. I'm not out on Drew Lock. I'm not out on Geno Smith. But why not give yourself the flexibility to open up some things for the future? If you like one of these guys, you guys tell me your thoughts on that. Free agency is going to set the tone for this draft. That's really true because... And Kay Sassoon says he's not a Carter fan anyway. That's okay. I'm not as high on him as I was, but I am still high on him. What I think, let's get to it here, is there's the flip side of that. Guys like Will Anderson and Carter, you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. So that was a great point about free agency, because in free agency, we have to do our thing and open up some draft capital by taking one of these free agents that are out there that wants to play in Seattle, and not just for money. They want to be part of something great. So that's Deron Payne on the low, DeForest Buckner. If you take one of those guys, you free up trying to use high capital in the defensive tackle, and you have a great defensive tackle right away. It costs you money, but you free up high upside in the top 3 rounds to take a stab at a player. So let's look at that. If you've got defensive tackle sewed up, we'll start at that position. That's someone we're thinking at anywhere between 5 and definitely in the first 4 rounds for sure, maybe loading up on more than one. So that's when you can open it up. You don't have to take it early. You're looking at a Cansey. You're looking at a Cansey, a Young, or something like that later. You can use that second or third, fourth pick, overall pick that you have in this draft. And if like a running back is sitting there, like Bijan Robinson, which won't be, but Jahmyr Gibbs, or a Rashee Rice, a receiver like that on that caliber, if they're sitting there in the second or the third round, oh my God, right? You don't have to use that on a DT because Deron Payne's in your locker room already. You know what I mean? Hendon Hooker, I like. He's be a good guy later. But I'm thinking, don't go for the middle ground. Go all out. Like, I want to see bold moves like they did in this draft here. Bold move, and mark my words, Ken. Not just the tackles, Lucas, but Ken Walker was a bold move and potentially a championship level move for the Seattle Seahawks. Kenneth Walker III has the potential to be one of the greatest running backs, I'm not kidding, of all time. He has the perfect build. He has the perfect vision. He's starting to see that he just needs to hit holes quick. This guy was hurt they say he was off 3 games. He was actually hurt for 5 or 6 games. Put up over 1,000 yards against good defenses, and sky's the limit, okay? Let alone having contingency at that, having that level of running back, and the only young RBs that will compete with him are Breece Hall and whoever comes out this year, probably Bijan Robinson. But Ken Walker, them having the nerve to take that pick at that position, to take that pick at that position was absolutely the type of thing I want to see this season again. Them have the balls, for lack of better words, to just take that. Just if it's there, take that. If you feel like Rashee Rice is the next thing, is the next DeAndre Hopkins, just do it. Can you imagine? And I was on Rashee Rice. I didn't get that just from Murph. No slight, but great minds think alike or whatever. But I was high on this guy. I don't care if he plays for SMU. If you have DK Metcalf, Rashee Rice, and Tyler Lockett and pass protection, it's going to be tough with Ken in the read option. Guys, I'm going to get to this super chat in a sec. Let me just get my phone plugged in here because I'm losing battery right now. Let me just get this plugged in here, guys. Do not sleep on Katie Brooks for sure. Let me just get this plugged in. Everyone stick around. We got 12 in the chat because it's the 12th man. You feel me? It's all about the 12, baby. Let me just get my charging situation lined up for y'all because currently I'm about to run out of power on this iPhone 2 or whatever I got in my freaking house. I gotta find myself the right charging situation here for y'all. Anyways, yeah, thanks for sticking around with your boy. But that's another point is, guys, we need another third. It could be Derek Young, it could be. But I think Derek Young, we can't expect him to try to be like, as high profile as maybe we want him to be, but it could be, it could. Sorry, let me just line this up. I don't even know if I'm getting a charge here. I might have to double down. Anyways, let me get to this super chat here. I might have to step in a second again. Let's see what was said here. Let me go back here. Thank you for the super chat, Devo Marcel. Good to see you back, bro. Appreciate your time. Going to be a long off season. We're going to need your content. Hey, man. Thank you for saying that, man. Bless your soul, man. I love football, man. I love talking about it with you guys. It's cool to get recognition and all that stuff from your peers, and you guys are my peers. And I'm gonna keep this channel rolling. I'm gonna be perfectly upfront with you guys and tell you a bit about myself. I'm a busy dad. I'm a father of a few. I got a family. I got that. So the content, I can't do it every day as I like to so far, like Brendan and those guys. So shout outs to those guys because it's a big commitment. But I'm not going to quit, and I'm going to keep giving you guys my honest, heartfelt, real opinions about the Seattle Seahawks and where our team is going. So thank you so much for that super chat, that 499 super. That was really dope of you. Late to the conversation here, but what are your thoughts of drafting a center at 5? I like Smiths. I'm not going that high at 5. And it's not a knock on your theory because just get a great player, right? But I also like some guys later. I like Ricky Stromberg. I like him out of Arkansas. He just feels like a center type guy that I like. I like Cedric Van Pran out of Georgia. Smits, I think John Mike Smits is the best one. That's undeniable. But I did see him get he got lit up at the Pro Bowl the Senior Bowl a couple times. But center, that's not what I like. I'm looking at free agency, or I'm looking at that taking a little later. But like, we don't need to have like the most high profile guy. We just need somebody who can really push the pile in the run game. Like, the pass protection is okay sometimes from a guy like Blythe, but you need a guy that's gonna bust a gap open for Ken. You know what I'm saying? So we can go power run, because if we get Rashad back, we have Ken back, and we get another running back, whether that's somebody that's later in the draft that slept on. I got a lot of those guys too, man. If we have that and we're able to push the pile, see, it's just mathematics, like a pyramid. If you have a strong point at the point of attack, everything else opens up. Then Damian Lewis looks better because he's actually really good. You don't have Gabe Jackson over there anymore. You have either Lewis or a new right guard that's better, and then you obviously have great tackles. So if you have a center, but the guy has to be smart. Austin Blythe is smart. That's the thing, right? That's why he was out there on the field. They couldn't find somebody smarter to call the protections to try to keep Geno alive. But you just saw him absolutely get blown up by marquee DTs, and that's the problem with Blythe, is he's not strong enough. It's not about his age. He's just not strong enough to do the power formations that you need in the NFC West, where you have dominant interior and outside pass rushers. You need to not only be able to call things, you need to be able to be a bully. Look at the Eagles, man. They just got bullies up front there. They just bully people around. They bullied the Niners. They're bullying everybody. They're probably going to bully KC's D-line. It's so important that you not only have the mental intangibles, but the combination. So give me a huge Southern corn-eating beefcake Midwestern type guy that's just like in there, just ready for war, bloody knuckles, no gloves, and just exploding somebody, getting to the second level, smashing Fred Warner. Ken's running behind this guy, cutting outside. The safety is like, where the fuck did he go? And it's a touchdown. I want that to happen. I want to get back to that like we had with Unger, where it's just like, oh my God, where did Alexander go? We need that. So to your point, no, center not at 5. But upgrading the center position for this team, you saw how much interior pressure Geno suffered. Upgrading that upgrades everything about our offense, not just the quarterback protection. So that is so important, guys. And I think that's going to be a high priority for the Seattle Seahawks, whether that's in the offseason and free agency, which Brendan Nelson broke down a lot of good free agent centers. So go check out his channel for that. Let's get back to this. Just need a non-crap center that doesn't get abused. Yeah, for sure. We're not that far away from having a very good O-line and opening holes for K-Dub, for K9, for sure. That's true, man. So we just got to make that happen while it's all here. Michael Camp, thanks for your comments soon. Michael Camp says, long time no see. Damn good to see you back. Talking about about football. Go Hawks. Yeah, go Hawks, Michael. Thank you, man. Good to see you too, brother. Where you shouting us out from? Where are you from, Michael? Zach Stewart says, that's what I'm talking about. I want to wash guys out plays. Exactly. C will be an easy fix. Yeah, it's not tough to upgrade, and I do not blame Seattle for not having so much contingency in the offseason and having to go with Blythe. He knows Waldron's system. It was really, really important to have somebody that knew what he was doing. He says, good work here, bro. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so center is absolutely critical, and I think that the Seahawks not only understand that, but they're going to do something big about it. Let me just try to Linwood in the house, Washington State, baby. Let me just figure out the Charger thing here again, because I just don't want it to crap out when we're having fun on our stream. You feel me? Sorry, I should have been more prepared, but I kind of just popped this on after work. But yeah, like, if you don't have the right center, you're not going to be breaking any necks. You're not going to be doing much. You're just going to be trying to scramble and make your team something like it's not. And our identity as a football team is predicated on being bruisers. You know what I'm saying? Like, the real Seahawks that we know and love, like that type of Seahawk football that we know and love, or at least I do, there's a lot of guys that are much younger than me that are kind of, just been in it for whatever, 5, 10 years. Our identity is based on being a smash mouth team, and like we can get more finesse and modern with the with the NFL, but we also have to really consider that, that's our identity. You know what I'm saying? Like that's who we are. We are a team that is based on bullying people, and since we've been kind of getting beat up a little bit in the last few years, teams kind of get away from being afraid of you in a sense, and then they take their shots and take their stabs. I want to be scary again in that level, and that starts in the trenches. And that's why you see the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. Yes, it's Jalen Hurts. Yes, it's Miles Sanders. Yes, it's this guy. It's Goddard. It's awesome drafting and coaching. But when you look at the trenches of that team, they are nasty. You look at the trenches of the KC Chiefs. They spent big money. Yes, they got Patrick Mahomes. But when you look at it, what they were able to do with their O-line and getting all those guys together, that is why they are dominant on the offensive side of the ball, because you cannot just attack them. And if you do, they're going to hit you in the mouth first. I think that at 20, I don't feel comfortable taking anything other than OL. If Osiris Torrance is there at 20th, I'd be okay with us drafting him. He's the best guard in the draft, Michael says. I'll just I wouldn't be mad if we took a center, or I mean an offensive lineman at 20. But if it was like, give me Michael Smith or something. Guards, I love it. I love it in the sense that yes, you get like the top dog there at that value. But I'm gonna have a hard time with the other talent that's on the board at other positions taking the guard at 20, and I could be wrong. If a generational safety is there or corner or something, I don't know, man. But yeah, you could trade back from that 20 and get even more value. But this is why this is an open conversation, because I'm not right or wrong. I'm not trying to force my opinion about this stuff. I'm just simply trying to have the discussion because it opens up my eyes to people that I like in the draft and people that you like in the draft. And I haven't done enough study of Torrance to crown him the top dog at guard in this draft. But I do like Gators players, and I think that Gators players are being underrated in this draft. They got Tradin the third. They've got Rashard Torrance, I think his name is, at safety. Both of those are good safeties. They've got Cox Sr. At edge, who is really underrated. They've got some absolute dogs there too, not let alone AR-15. So, yeah, these perspectives are so critical, guys, and like, let's keep them coming. That is something that we do have to build the trenches, Geno or no Geno. So good points there. You got a lot of Hawkers and AZ there, Sun Soon. That's right. Shout out to Linwood. Now, so not huge on Torres. Not sure we need OL that high. Yeah, that's fair. Those are good discussions, man. Miko Cam 10 says the reason I say guard because Gabe Jackson. Yeah, for sure. Will incur Gabe Jackson is gone. No question. Moving on from him. They're moving on from Gabe Jackson. I promise you that. It's just, are they moving on with somebody they have in the system? Or are they moving on with a draft pick? Or are they moving on in free agency? That's the only question. They will cut Gabe Jackson's contract. He did not perform well enough to pay. So yeah, Gabe does have to go. No disrespect to the man, but he was just getting turnstile against your Kinlaws and those types of players. So there's no way we keep him around at that money. What is my solution to the guard issue? My solution is the draft for the guard. I'm of the cloth that I do want them to draft high at O-line, but I think there's a lot of good guards that are late in this draft. There's a couple guys. There's a guy, Zev something out of San Diego State that looks really good. There's some bruisers from Clemson, those types of things. Get one of those guys in the 4th or the 5th if you have to, and they will be an upgrade, I just think, talent-wise and size-wise over a Gabe Jackson. And if you have the right center, Abraham Lucas is a... My bad. Sorry about that. Let's get back to it. What's your solution to the guard issue? Yeah, so that is my solution. I don't have one yet. I think Shelby Harris will be gone. He's 32 in the cap hit. Yeah. So this guy, Brendan Nelson takes TJ Bass a lot. I like that too. Brandon knows his stuff. Shelby is a jag. And yeah, I was just buffering because I got a call from my wife. So I won't be able to stay on the stream much longer because everybody's going to be coming home and I'll have to help them out here. What I'm going to say about free agency, though, is they put us at 35 million, 30 plus million at cap space there. You know, if we sign Geno, that chews up a lot of that cap space. But yeah, of course, here's the thing, family first, no doubt. Here's the thing about the cap, though, is that's a great point, and thanks for bringing that up. If we cut these Gabe Jacksons, we cut these contracts that are not needed anymore. You're not going to be paying Bruce Irvin. You're not going to be paying Shelby Harris, probably. You're not going to be paying Gabe Jacksons. You're not going to be paying these mid-tier guys, Austin Blythe. You're going to have more than 30 million in cap space, so this is kind of where I'm thinking maybe you do just swing for the fences with the Deron Payne. Get it in there. If you have Deron Payne, then Will Anderson looks more attractive to you at that position. If you have, you know, this is all stuff that it's too early to tell exactly what we're going to go at position because free agency hasn't occurred. If we pay Geno, it could be really poor. I don't know. I'm okay with Geno. Like, you know, he's earned money, but like I said, I don't know if I can cuff all of our cap here for Geno Smith. If we talk about generational safety, I absolutely love J.L. Skinner, 6'4", 205. He's got Cam Chancellor 2.0 written all over him. You play him deep and move Adams to that linebacker. Adams is best. He's blitzing anyways. I've been high on JL for a long time. He's my favorite safety in this draft. I do think he could be something really special. He has coverage ability as well. Like you said, he's more wiry than Chancellor was, so he's faster. I don't know if his instincts coming downfield are as good as Cam, but he will blow people up, and that's what I'm talking about, a guy with attitude. Skinner, people would say, oh, he's a redundant player. You've already got Jamal Adams. I mean, come on, guys. As Seahawks fans, we love Jamal Adams. We want him on the field, but let's make him a roaming player that can just go and do his thing, not depend on him for health all season long, and get a guy that can just absolutely blow people up. He's got more coverage than Halafunga, and look at how powerful Halafunga was for the Niners this year. Skinner, in my opinion, could be a better player than Halafunga in the sense that he can cover as well. He's not as much of a liability downfield. Great call. Perfect Seahawks type of player. Look for him. Look for that to be a guy that they take earlier than maybe some people expect in this draft. And go watch his tape at Go watch his tape out of Dakota. He's crazy. He's a crazy hitter, and he's nice. Sounds good, but everyone we cut, we have to replace. Perhaps we could get lucky, cheap rookies. Yeah, and you're right. My man Eric Gilbertson, you know, just my homeboy. You know, you got, it's not as easy as just dumping people. You got to have contingency. But it looks like you got to trust, too, in your process of building around young players. Look what it's done for us last year. I mean, when you're cutting Shelby Harris, like, you know, you lose a lot of leadership. You lose a lot of this. But a 22 to 24-year-old guy, you gain some things from that, too, if he's as much of a beast. You know what I mean? So you can't teach character, so you just got to make sure you have that character there. Yeah. So he is a dog, Zach. You're absolutely right. What do you think about Christopher Smith out of Georgia? Big. Good player, man, for sure. I like those guys. I like those Georgia. I like those SEC guys. You know, I like that kind of stuff for sure. They just know what they're doing. They've been coached well. Eric Gilbertson, don't forget the cap hit for us in 2024 will be $100 million. And many players will be under contract. Many core player, foundation players anyways. Yeah, for sure. Eric knows his stuff. Eric Gilbertson, member of the Patreon. I got a Patreon. Just a couple people in there so far, but I'm going to be growing that Patreon. And as time grows, we're going to be doing exclusive content. So, you know, I'll be dropping some dope stuff in there too. So if you want to do the Patreon, it's whatever. It's like, you know, it's cool. Like I said, this channel is not not a demand donation channel. I don't care. Do what you got to do. We all got, you know, we're in a freaking recession. But yeah, Eric Gilbertson, a great dude. My guy V-Ray in there too in the Patreon. We chop it up sometimes, but I'm going to start dropping more exclusive content in the Patreon. That's video and cool stuff there too. You can find the link to any of my stuff in my profile for the Seahawks Times. Receivers. Wide receivers. That third wide receiving position. I do not want to be left out to dry Tyler Lockett's got a lot of time left. He's a special guy, man. He's not going to tap out anytime soon. So we got Lockett and we got Metcalf. You know, that's, in my opinion, outside of Chase and Higgins, you know what I mean? That's the best combination in the NFL. A third wide receiver to me, yes. And that word is a third wide. Here's the thing, is Lockett and Metcalf are wide receiver ones. They're not ones and twos. They're both wide receiver ones. So for that third option, I want another wide receiver one. It's not Marquise Goodwin. I love Marquise Goodwin. Sure, keep him around on the low. Let him do his thing. But I am okay with the Seahawks doing big things at wide receiver because we could just become an overpowering team. If we had that one extra vertical threat, you saw what happened when Marquise was on the field. In those games, we were devastating offense. You know what I mean? Because they had to follow him down the field. Sure, he's got 4.3 speed. But if you have a guy that is even more possession, yes, Derek Young could become that. He could become that. Thank you. Marvin Mims, great name. Tavion Wicks out of University of Virginia, another name. Quentin Johnston. Zay Flowers, Jalen Wyatt, the other kid out of Tennessee. Any of those guys, any guys that could project to be an every down threat, it will make this team disgustingly difficult to guard. Colby Parkinson is a good tight end. He doesn't have hands like Noah Fant, but he is a good tight end. He became a problem. Colby Parkinson's like 23, guys. When do tight ends develop? 27, 30? Travis Kelce's 34. How old is Noah Fant? 25? You know, 20. Like, our future is bright. If we get weapons and depth of weapons, Marquise Goodwin's 32. He's a track star. He's an anomaly. That's not going to happen every time. But not somebody who's just there because you don't have somebody better to play, you know, and this is not a slight on those players. He might not be Jamar Chase. He might not be Jefferson. You know what I mean? But, you know, we've got Metcalf. We've got a star. You know, we've got Lockett. These are star players. We have a small market team. The media doesn't see it for what it is. But, I mean, I saw DK Metcalf bust down the Niners under pressure for 126 and like 2 TDs, almost 3, you know, like if he gets the ball as much as Chase or Jefferson, he's nuts, right? But that's not how our offense works. So let's not worry about that. Let's get somebody who, if you leave alone, not only is he going to get a first down and just catch the ball, he's going to score. That's what we need. If we get that type of player, you look at what the Niners did at running options with McCaffrey, Samuel, Mitchell, Mason. That's overpowering at that position. Look what it does, right? It makes it so it's so hard because you never know, and people are always fresh, and you never know what's going on. If you get a guy like that to complement DK and Tyler in the tight end group we have, and Derek Young, if he can break out next season, then what you have is a juggernaut. And that can happen with a rookie wide receiver because the league has changed. Christian Olave, Garrett Wilson, these types of guys, you might not be drafting high enough to get that type of guy, but they can play right away now. These guys come in ready to dance. You know what I'm saying? And it really excites me, the fact of seeing a full complement and what that offense would do if you can sometimes go 4 vertical and sometimes go with 4 wide, stretching the team out, stretching linebackers, forcing people back there, because if you flush us up here, we're going to check it down to a reputable tight end. We're going to hit, we're going to hit you with Ken. You know, that is what I want to see the Seahawks absolutely address as well. And it cannot be overlooked that we need another dominant receiver, not just a filler. So thank you for that. Zay Flowers is dope for sure. A demon. He's smooth. He'd be perfect. And he's a guy that can come in and be what Tyler Lockett, maybe not at that level. Maybe, who knows? Yeah. So Rasheed Rice and Michael, yeah. So I've been, I don't know how late you are to the stream, but that's my number one guy for Seattle. He has the style. He has the swag. I think he would play off of DK, and they would just be hella scary together. You know what I mean? So I do want that player. I do want Rice. Weapons in a defense that can take away the ball. So yeah, defense is a given. Like, you got to work on this defense. You got to work on the run stop. And I know that they're going to address that. But what I don't know is that they're going to see the importance of not just having Jamar Chase, but also having Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins. You know what I'm saying? Or if you get injuries, you don't just have Smith-Schuster, and you don't just have Sky Moore, you have Valdez-Scantling. You know what I mean? It's so critical. It's so critical, and I'm really excited to see what they do there. Job number one is stop the run, and that will be their thing. And it'll just be like, okay, let's start with getting the linebackers in place, getting the defense. Anyways, I got to tap out. It's been a great stream. I love you guys. I'll hop on soon enough. It was great talking football with you guys. Peace.